Hello everyone and welcome to Ring Diaries, where we talk about anything and everything to do with marriage. And I keep giving a disclaimer, we bring people here who are not experts. We're just sharing our stories and trying to add a stone to the marriages out there. And this evening I'm so privileged to have a very amazing couple that you're yet to see what I'm calling amazing, that are going to discuss a very beautiful topic. And that is Job and Rebecca Aheebwa. You're welcome to the show.
Thank
And they've
you.
been married for 12 years. 12 years, right?
Yes, we've been, yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving us the time and being able to share with us this evening. So, Job and Rebecca are going to tell us about a topic, oneness in marriage. And I think even before I was asking, is it even possible? But Matthew 19:5 says, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother, and he will be joined to his wife, and the two will become one. Okay, that's what they tell us. And I don't know if it is like other things that people tell us, because even vows we say, I was repeating after the Reverend, I didn't know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So this is something that they tell us, at least for every wedding that happens, they tell us that the two become one. So what is oneness? I don't know. Rebecca, what is oneness? What is oneness in marriage?
Good question. So oneness has it's hinged on the idea of the Trinity.
Okay.
You know, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. They are three.
Okay.
They are one. And so when we come into a marriage relationship, we are trying to, basically we are challenged to mimic this oneness. We are challenged to try and be one as God is one. You don't find God the Father and God the Son contradicting one another somehow.
Okay.
In the word, in the things, in the spoken word, as it was, commanded a long time ago through Moses, as God spoke to Abraham. You find Jesus coming and saying, I have not come to remove anything, not a dot of this. I am actually just confirming. So you find that even us in marriage, we are being challenged to be one.
To be one. But you see, what confuses me with this oneness is, I am Phiona, all the way from Bushin, and I meet one Apollo in Kampala, and you're bringing these two, and you want them to become one. Is it even feasible or possible, Job?
It is feasible, and it is the way the Bible also calls us to righteousness. You could say it's not possible for me to be righteous, but what happens is that you are working towards it.
Okay.
But also, the Holy Spirit helps you because it is God's idea that you be one. When he saw Adam and says, it is not good to be alone. So, if God Almighty, the Creator, saw that Fiona is not good, it's not good for him to be alone, then why are we fighting? Why are we fighting it? Why are we struggling to understand it? What we can then try to do is to ask ourselves, how can we stay one? How can we be one? What are those things that come in our way that are going to challenge the oneness? What is it that's going to be between me and her that's going to challenge us? So you start to identify those elements and try to weed them out, try to identify them so that there is nothing that's going to come in between us. Hopefully by the time Jesus comes back, we're still married.
We are still achieving, we're trying to achieve.
We hope that we shall be at another level, at another step. Because I can tell you that last year, we're not as one as we used to be last year. We are closer today than we were yesterday or than we were last week. Be intentional and just keep working and keep it at the head, at back of your mind. We need to be one. What is that thing that has cropped up? Let's discuss it. Let's discard it.
So we know that we're supposed to become one, but how do we become one? Apart from that telling us you two you have become one, now go.
Yeah.
How do we actually become one?
Yeah, so there are few areas we've discovered
Okay.
that that help, or there are areas that you need to work on to be one, and these are things that normally drive separation.
Okay.
I'll mention just a few, like maybe just a few. Like for instance, you need spiritual oneness in a marriage. Yeah, you need spiritual oneness. Simply means, for example, when we met, I was going to one church and he was going to another church. But you know how the gospel is delivered differently in different places,
Interpreted
and the
differently.
understanding of who God is and what Christianity is different. So we found that it is so important, if you're married, to subscribe to one. You need to create an area of spirituality where you're one. You listen to the same preacher. You
Practice the
you
same.
hear the same messages. You believe the same things. Over time, you begin to be
Spiritual
one.
oneness.
Yeah. So these are things that different people fight about. You say, me, I was Catholic. For me, I was now Anglican. For me, maybe I was Pentecostal. So now it comes to say, you've given birth to your children. You want to baptize.
Now
These
from
guys are
where?
like, for us we dip,
This
and
one
for you you're like,
sprinkle.
for us we
I
sprinkle.
And
So
yeah.
now, out of something small like that, you're all Christians. You can even say, we are all Balokole. But at
It's
our
a
church we
church,
dip, us we sprinkle,
Dedicate.
us we dedicate, us
We
we
don't
don't,
baptize,
we don't baptize. A real war can come out of that thing, just that one. And these are things that are hard to resolve.
Yes.
So it's important that you work towards spiritual oneness.
So does oneness mean we have to do everything together?
You do everything in harmony.
Okay.
None should overlap the other. None should suffocate the other. No one should suffocate the accommodate as much as you can one another. One of the other ones that were discussed, apart from the spiritual one, is physical. For example, you will find that you need to work towards physical oneness.
Okay.
You cannot, when you get married, one of the people says, I need to go and do my masters. You're going to stay here. That is a huge challenge for the couple. It's going to be tough for them to achieve oneness with physical distance.
So we need to even be together.
Even physically, it bonds me with her the same way a child is bonded to their mother, not from distance, not from Masaka and Kampala,
But I thought distance
but
makes
then
the heart grow fond.
it goes fonder, and so that you get closer sooner, not me growing to learn to live apart from you.
Without you.
When you start to feel that I can do this without him, I can put up a bulb without him, I can take care of the home minus her.
That's a job.
So-
I thought you people want us to be independent, able to put up those bulbs.
We want you to. I feel good when she waits on me and says, honey, please help me put up the curtain. So I feel that, I'm part of her life. She is dependent on me and we are interdependent. God does not expect us to be independent of one another, but rather together. There's a lot we need to learn from the Trinity. Like she said, one doesn't contradict the other. Just look at the time when would you have expected that Jesus would be praying to God the Father? Then they are one, so he just does his thing. but he would set time apart
To be with the
to actually go and pray and speak to him, be intimate with him. That was a physical trying to reach to him and speak to him. So
So
if
it's
he's able to do
important.
it, then we need to look at that example and try and imitate it.
But most times when you okay physically together, people say you need to give each other space. I mean, you're always
Yeah.
with the person.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to suffocate?
So it's not that we actually
no.
are tagged with each other the whole time. But
There
look,
is that.
when I'm at work, and at the end of the day I go back home, I said, honey, you won't believe what happened. I went to town, I went to Masaka, I went to Namugongo, I came back home, so and so, her friend called me, told me, I'm moving with her through her day, and I know that, oh, so what happened there? So how
But
come
those
you
are the
moved this?
things,
So
you're not giving
I
the
am not
person
giving
space.
her.
But
She didn't need commission from me.
Fiona, the thing is, we have to accept that today there are so many negative things that are sold as positives. They
Okay.
are marketed to us. We will. I'll come and tell you, Fiona, you need to give your husband space.
Yes, I've been
As
told
in,
that.
you need to give him space.
So you're doing well.
But the thing is, you need to understand, what does giving your husband space achieve for your marriage?
What will it? Yes.
What are you working towards? The idea that we ought to be one is a godly, it's a biblical principle. So it's important. If you want marriage to work, marriage, which is something that God Himself put in place,
Ordained.
you need to try and work with His principles.
And not work
The
against them.
chances that you work against them and you get success are really low.
No, but now I'm saying people who will tell you that, but Rebecca, when are you giving this? Like, you're constantly, during the day, you're calling the man. Give the man space to do other things.
I think when we say to be in each other's lives, of course we don't mean I'm at his workplace, I am like you have to be there. And no, but what we really mean is there has to be that time. There has to be that time that you make that is for you, that is for your marriage, and it has to be intentional. That means that you then have to sieve the kind of decisions you make that affect the time you spend together in your marriage. Like he had said, we know so many who struggle with long distance relationships. That thing begins with the choice you make to go away to a very far away place for an extended period of time. And we've seen friends whose relationships have completely fallen apart because somebody learns to live without you, and then now that the time, the extended period, is now limitless. They ask you, when are you coming back, and you're like, I don't know.
I'm okay alone, actually.
I'm alright. I don't know. So you realize that thing doesn't work towards your oneness. It doesn't work towards building this unit. Yes.
Yeah. You asked earlier, how do you be one? And I think this is critical, because you need to forget you.
Now you hear Joe.
You need to forget I.
Freaked, Fiona.
You need to forget me, and I need to adopt us. I need to adopt we.
So you have to
So
lose
that
yourself.
you have to lose
I
it.
don't want
No,
to
people.
do.
I understand the being one, but you realize that many people have lost themselves. Okay, continue.
Okay, so Fiona, so here's another one. So now, and this is a really big one, because it's the idea of cultural oneness that involves a lot of self-loss.
Yep.
Yeah.
When do I gain in this thing? It is slow. Uh-huh.
No, totally. You know what? You gain a lot. I'm a Muganda.
Okay.
He's a Mutoro.
Mm-hmm.
When I get married to Job, when I got married to Job, there were so many things that was different, that were different with us because my background does not do certain things in a certain way. His background, they do things in a certain way. So when we came together, it was important that I leave Baganda things somewhere. He also lives Batoro things somewhere.
Then
Come
you
to
find
think of
one.
it, when we get married, we come with a lot of cultural baggage of me at the school I went to, we used to do like this. At the school
We
he
used
went
to
to,
lay
we
the
used to do
bed
like
like
this.
this.
At my workplace, we do like this. At his workplace, we do like this. At my church,
You do
the
like
culture is we pray for 30 minutes before the meal. At his church, they say one line
for what
before
you're
the
about to
meal.
receive, we thank
Eh.
you.
Done.
So, if I come with this whole identity that is me, and I want to make it us, or
Impose it on the us.
make him put this identity on, which doesn't fit with him. There's no way we are going to be one.
First, tell me, first, you've dropped the Baganda, he has dropped the Batol. What have you left with?
We have
So we
adopted the
create
Aheebwa
the Aheebwa's
culture.
identity. The
There's a
Aheebwa's
culture between us that celebrates the two cultures, they celebrate the two backgrounds. Now, there are things that I'm very passionate about and I've shared with her. And these stem from the language, for example. And I was so proud of her, and I always tell her how she picked up the language. And within
So
a
she has
year,
a pack.
yes, unadiri wangu okolola hano.
I did.
But she was able to pick it up, and she did not fight it. She don't say you're killing the Muganda in me. She said, so when I'm trying to say this, what do I say? I tell her. When she's listening to our conversation, she listens to them and says, so what does that mean? When do you use that? And after time, she started to come out and speak. And so now when you find her with my relatives, they can't sometimes tell.
And she looks like them.
Like us.
So that's
We are one.
Anyway, I get what you're saying, but I know many couples are struggling with that element. For example, I talked about culture.
Yes.
I get married to a Muganda and I can't kneel. Like I can't kneel. And this is that can become an issue between the couple. So this oneness that is so proclaimed, are there any benefits?
Oh,
Okay, from the way you talked about it, I'm sure someone is saying, I need to be one with someone.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of being one?
how the Bible talks about, I think it is in Ecclesiastes, that two are better than one because they have a good return on their labor.
Yes.
As in, the things that we are able to do together is much more than if we try to do it independently. Think about the Tower of Babel. God said, I have seen that when people are united,
They can
it
achieve.
is not, as in what they can achieve is unimaginable. So if God can recognize the power of the union, the power of the unity, then imagine what we are able to do together. If we disagreed on how we spend money, we will stay paralyzed financially because she wants to spend and I want to save. She wants to go into real estate. I want to go into farming. So, but the pool of money is the same. So how do we? So we have to divide. We do we divide it so that she
do
takes
one
some?
and then next
Do we
year
do
do the
one
other?
then do the other? So we need to fight for oneness. We need to fight for for that union of mind, of heart, of souls that we are able to. I use the phrase kusachimunga nkuyege. They walk in a line. They
You also
all
like that,
these
okay?
yes. They walk in a line. They have a set target. They'll all go. They find a suite there. They go and
It's
cover
actually
all of
amazing when
it.
you say that you can see a line of ants and you don't know if there are how many because
Yes.
of the way they move.
But you don't find one veering off. You don't find another doing something else. They are all focused on one issue.
So
And
it benefits to
a
be
lot,
one.
a lot. When there's something that needs to be done at her home, I don't say, you know what, go and do your things. And then I stay behind. But she's going to feel lonely and alone that side because we have already built. Well,
Can she be lonely?
she can't spend a week at her home without
How can she
calling.
be lonely at her home?
Yeah.
No,
So
but we get it. So what are the benefits do we get from this oneness thing?
Definitely, if you want to be happy in your marriage, you need to work towards being one. A marriage, a relationship where everybody does their own thing, normally will have lots of trouble. You will have lots of fights. You're going to have lots of disagreements. And you know, marriage is this one place where you don't want to disagree. Like, you don't want to fight. You want to go home and it's a place of peace. And it's a place of rest. And you want to feel that the person you have is with you. You know, these disagreements can go deep to a point where now, for example, if for instance now you do not have financial oneness and you're sick, and then I may say, you know, I need the best care and I need to go to maybe Nakasero Hospital, and he wants to save us. Like, we are going to the health center, Waliku Health Center 3. You know how this can really drive our
But why would you
marriage.
be taking me to an health center even because we are not one?
it's because of the difference in priorities.
Yeah.
My priority is to save. Her priority is, can I get the best care? But then when you tell me the best care,
Like,
for example,
consider it's the same medicine whether you're here or
it's
there.
medicine.
yes. So when you say let us
They are
go out,
doctors, it's
I could
medicine.
say we could go out and walk in the community for free. She says that we can go to these fancy restaurants for a meal. So we are all
So
trying
for you
to
going out,
achieve.
like walking in the community, that is
It is.
should be going out.
You've gone out. You've taken her out. But it comes to oneness. If we agree that, you know what, the finances what we want to achieve, let us save on this. Let's not go to the bigger restaurant. Let's order in. Let's sit here together, or let's cook together, and try and work towards that. But the whole idea is that we are in agreement. That we are in agreement together.
But you see, we're talking about all these things, and they actually seem ideal. And I know that somehow, to some level, every couple would want that, but we're not. We don't have that. What are the challenges that are stopping us from achieving that oneness?
Well, first of all, I think the community we are in right now, the world, the society we have here, does not celebrate oneness. We had a story of a certain church in the southwest of Uganda where it is almost an unwritten rule that you cannot walk into the church and sit together with your husband and wife sit together. No, there's a part where the men sit and the women sit at a certain place. So if this is happening in church, where oneness ought to be facilitated or
encouraged.
encouraged, then imagine the society. You come out When you look at, we were once walking at home outside, taking a walk, and we were together, me, her, and our children, just walking, and a gentleman shouted and said, "Echo chenjagala echo." What is it that he could identify? Could it be that it's missing? He didn't see it, and when he sees it, said, "Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that." When you hold hands, don't feel guilty. This is your wife, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She is mine. It's the let the hearts meet. Let the hearts become one.
We're going to take a break because I'm still looking at Job. But
That's oneness.
we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with our helpers as they tell us about oneness in marriage, and brings that question actually: why do married people sit apart in church? Don't go away. And when we come back, we're going to dive deep into that. I'm Phiona Mbowa here at Church of Uganda Family TV doing Diaries. Thank you very much for staying with us. I'm Phiona Mbowa, and welcome back to Ring Diaries here at Church of Uganda Family TV. And before we went for the break, we were asking, why do married people sit apart in church?
Ask them. Ask them. They are there. They are watching. Ask them.
Why do you sit apart from your husband? Actually, I'm going to ask all the church leaders. We start making sure you come in with your wife and sit together. Because church should be the first place we are promoting oneness. They're the ones who tell us to actually become one. So why are we sitting apart in church?
But you know, Fiona, this is one of the most interesting things. People who sit together and talk to one another a lot are judged.
In my church, they even put, for every example they give us, there's that judgment that comes with it. Yeah. And I remember someone told me, what this space
Yeah, so
there's that judgment that comes with it. Yeah. But I think we should be intentional, especially in the churches, to make sure we bring that one.
We should be intentional. I like I was saying earlier, we've embraced negative theories as positives in our time, so that a good thing is now turned around
like it's
to be a bad thing, and it's talked badly about until everyone is like, I don't want to be identified, I don't want to be seen. But for me, I overhold my husband's hand, they will see me, I overtalk to him when we are here in this meeting. I'm always talking to him as if I don't talk to him at home, as if I don't.
Those things.
But what is wrong with sitting with
what
your
is wrong with talking to your
wife?
husband 6 times?
What's wrong with talking to him?
Yes.
What's wrong with spending time with him? These are things that ought to be promoted. I there's a new one I've seen trending around, and this thing really just blows my mind. How there's now a thing. So I think this is up. So there's a thing against planned kids and unplanned kids. So I keep watching this conversation and I'm like, okay.
Where is this heading?
Yeah. So this is now a thing where planned kids are a bad deal. Anyway.
So before we went for the break, we were also talking about the challenges.
Yes.
What is stopping us from being? Of course, we've said one of them is the criticism that comes with the oneness. Like, why don't you give the man space? Why are you always with him?
Now,
What other things have stopped us from being one?
Now we need to recognize, again, we need to keep reminding ourselves of the author of marriage, and his intention was that we are one. And what was his purpose? What was at the back of his mind? One of the things that is talked about in Malachi, and it says, and why did he make them one? Because he was looking for a godly offspring. He wanted to propagate godliness in this world. He wanted more people who are God-fearing to be in this world. If we do not work on that oneness, he says, and why did I make them one? He was looking for a godly offspring. our children grow up seeing a godly marriage, they go out looking for a godly husband to be, they give birth. So if this is God's plan, guess what? The devil is is not sleeping. He is going to fight that oneness. It is God's idea. He needs to fight it. If I was the devil, I would be fighting it. Because what is going to do is going to increase godliness and reduce godlessness in this world. So you need to be aware that this is not a physical thing, it's also spiritual. The devil is doesn't sleep. He is always looking for any way I can put them apart. Guess what? There's a song that says the devil, he learns from his mistakes. So he will keep, he talks about from your mistakes. So if she knows that Rebecca has an issue in finances, we're going to take a sida that let me fight these people through finances. Let me increase how need to hold on to money. And let him increase the desire for me to accumulate things. I want an iPhone 14. Let me make her more mukono gum so that we have to fight about it. But when you realize that, wait, what is it that is making us fight? It is not, she's not fighting me. Like the Bible talks about, it's not flesh and blood that is fighting. It's actually the principalities that the devil is actually scheming for anything that will, if he sees that I have a history with pornography or masturbation, he will create scenarios and opportunities for me to be lowered back there, so that I can now have to take some time away from the bedroom and go and consume, and then I come back, get recharged and come back. He's going to give you kanyebwa, because he knows that is your point of weakness. And so if I can only tap into it, then I kill this oneness. Because if I don't kill it, he's going to produce more Christians in this world.
For a viewer out there who is wondering, is this thing for everyone? Is this oneness for everyone, or it's supposed to be for just a few of that? Okay. I was putting myself on this group. A few of this is actually oneness for all marriages.
Absolutely. I believe oneness is intended for each and every marriage. And I think for everyone out there who says, oh, we are working on our marriage, what they are really working on is oneness. That's when you say, my husband likes to watch kafuti, likes to watch football, so I'm going to watch a game with him. What are you working at? You're working towards being one with him, finding things that are common and give you common ground, and create opportunities for agreement, for love to blossom. They create opportunities for friendship, for real deeper friendship, because we all need it. But of course, it's so common that the idea of emancipation,
yes, that's what I'm saying. We want to be our own people.
Independence is a today's idea, and so many of us, the people who say it's probably not for us, what we are really battling with are those world views. I want to be married, so that's why I did a wedding. But then in my marriage, I want to be an emancipated lady. I want to be.
Have your own money.
I want to have my own money.
For a rainy day.
You don't touch my money.
For a rainy day.
Our
For a rainy
money,
day.
our
I
money
guess.
is her
No, but
money.
sometimes I just want to have my money.
Yes.
My money is my money, and your money is
It's
our
our
money.
money.
And I need to do some things with my money.
Yes, and I want to have my rentozeyo. I want to have my kalanderi. And this is the world view, and it's popular. And successful women like me have that. Successful women like me
Should
have
have
big
this,
jobs. They leave early and they come home late, and you don't tell me when to come home. And you telling me, hey, I wish you could come a bit early, is an
stepping on
issue.
my rights
You're
as
stepping
a
on my
woman.
rights. I am a full emancipated woman, so don't tell me those things. So I think the world view is what's crowding our mind, so that we don't know what's pulling at us and we don't know where we should go. But the idea of oneness is for every marriage, and every married couple that's working on it, that's what they're actually working towards.
Yeah.
Oneness.
You're
But we've
working
gotten this
towards
ideal of what the
oneness.
world thinks marriage
world,
should be.
yes.
And that's what
Yes.
we've run with.
Yes.
So now, for people like my friends out there, maybe who think that they've lost this, is there a chance to actually develop this oneness even after years and years of marriage?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's never late. It's never late. You know, that the ideas or the concepts behind oneness are really, really simple. It's how can I work towards agreeing with you, being together in as many things as possible. If I find that we don't agree financially, okay, can I start by say, when you come home, can we drink kachai? Can we just take tea
Just the two of
Together.
them.
together?
But you want to go to the
Just how you want to go where? Can we just take tea and just have a conversation? Can I, if I know that every time he suggests a thing, we must fight, there will be an agreement because my idea has to pass, can I just
Put your
allow him to win, to do his thing for today without interrupting, without pushing so much, and we start slowly like that. It's a slow process, like we've said. Oneness is not a thing that you achieve. I can tell you, we are still far from it because we still have so many areas in life where he says a thing and I'm like, naye you're in my car space. Agisaze kati oli wano. I don't like it. And you just have to keep working towards it, and you say, okay, you've passed my car line, but how can I compromise? How can I compromise? How can we, or can you extend call? Also, oneness needs openness. It needs real open communication.
And before Job tells us about that, when you talk about that, brings in a lot of vulnerability that we do not want to be.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
We do not want to be vulnerable because we've been hurt a lot. So you keep thinking, once I open up a little, that's the more pain I'm going to get when this goes bad. And we constantly wait for it to get bad. Anyway, Job, what do you think people out there should do that have lost that oneness, who have actually never had it?
I think we need to start from a point of acceptance that we are not one. We need to accept, first of all, if you feel challenged, just agree that, you know what, there is a problem. What is the problem? We don't seem to agree on almost anything. What do we want? We want to be able to agree. First of all, you can, even before you go for therapy, because you can't actually go for therapy. We shouldn't look at therapy or counseling as a place you go to when you have problems, when things are about to break up. No.
When things are broken up, we have to be strong.
Identify these challenges and look for that couple that you find that have been able to go far in that area, and try and interface with them. Be in their space. Ask that you live around them, that you check on them, that they pour their life into yours, so that you can actually start to learn from association, from seeing. So you can start from, first of all, accepting, but then also change change the environment that you're in and try and be accountable to a couple. Join a marriage fellowship, a Christian marriage fellowship, not a marriage group, a Christian marriage fellowship.
No, what's the difference?
That
They're all groups.
it's not because we are using Christian values. We need to be in a fellowship that honors the Christian values. Because you can be in a fellowship or a group, all you do is the girls are going this side to Monyonyo, the boys are going
And what's
to
wrong with
Garuga.
and what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Except it will not promote
Except does not
your marriage in any way.
facilitate
It promotes the girls' agenda
and the boys'
and
agenda.
it promotes
Yeah.
the boys'
And
agenda.
when I come back as an agenda-full girl, I'll be a better wife.
Not likely.
So we need to. That's one of the things that we need to do. It is really challenging, and for you to get out of that space of feeling like you're distant from one another, and let us also give each other time. I'll tell you this. I love watching movies. I'm intrigued by movies, and I'll watch them like at home. But for long, she expressed she was not a movie person. So I would watch them alone. So on my birthday last year, she bought me movie tickets. I was blown away. I knew she had not been converted into a movie lover, but I
She's
knew
looking at the
that she considered my interests above hers. And that brought me even closer to her, because I knew that because I knew how strongly she is against from she's not really into it, but because she went out of her way to actually do this thing for me to enjoy, we went together with my family, and it was
also
such so
did she also
memorable. She
come and-
came in. She came to watch the movie. She was there, but guess what? She just kept looking at me instead of watching the movie, because she just loved to see me enjoying it. So where does the issue of, as an individual, I am a movie person. I've not
still
been
yourself.
compromised. Yes, I'm still the same
But you
person.
compromised a bit, but still.
But she still looks at me and says, I want to see that joy. I want to see that person come out. I want to see that person blossoming. After the movie, we hardly talked about the movie. After the movie, we talked about how I felt, how
Watching the
surprised I was with this gesture. When she wants to go to the salon, I say, let's go. I sit there and I watch, and I sit there, I would even get on my phone, but my presence there,
The fact that I know you're waiting for me.
the fact that you're
the way
there,
the whole body just responds.
exactly.
And I wish our husbands knew that those small things, even us as ladies, actually, if something makes your husband happy, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt to do
Yeah.
it. So I think that speaks the element of oneness is not about everything we have to like the
Yes.
same things.
Yes.
But I will stand a few of the things.
Celebrate her individuality. Celebrate when I succeed, when I make a win at work, I run back and say, honey, guess what? The client approved the work. She's happy with me. Say, you know what, let's even do chicken today. So while she's not there with me working and ensuring things, she's not in my space trying to say, that email, you should have written this. No, she waits for me. She knows that I want to see. She prays for you. She sends you off with a hug. She wishes you well. Did you reach, honey? We are apart physically, but we are
But you're
together in
together.
spirit and in at the heart. We are together.
It's amazing. It's amazing that to hear a story like this, and and I can even see it in the way you're talking. But and they don't.
But you separated us. She's too far. Get a twin chair.
Don't worry, you'll get together soon. But I want a couple out there that may be watching this and feeling those things. And there's this element of people think that you get that closeness because maybe you've been friends for so long before even the marriage and all that. So if I've just met this one, we've met in town, this dating, and we get married, can we also achieve that kind of closeness?
Truly, we are not those people who dated for long. How long did you date?
This is the Naya, actually.
You dated little Sanai?
This is the Naya.
Like the year
We
in
started.
the way Jesus
We
knows
started
the
dating. We started dating in 2010. No, 2011.
No, 2010.
2010
10.
is when we started dating. In 2011, we got married.
and you achieved the oneness. You achieved.
So-
We're working at it.
We're working
We're
on
on
it.
the journey.
It's a journey.
So it's not a thing.
It's
It's
not a
not a
switch.
thing that not a switch
That you put on.
that today we are not one,
Tomorrow we are one.
tomorrow now we are one. And in fact, if it's one of those things that you need to keep working towards, because if you say, I think we achieved it, then you stop working, and before you know it, things will really be falling apart. Yes, it's a thing that you work towards. It's friendship that you keep trying to refresh, and you look for all the possible ways that you can refresh it. It's not a thing for, oh, you've been friends for so long, yeah, that's why.
That's why. Because there's that element of maybe that's why you people are that close, because you've been friends for so long.
Not really.
But you dated for a year.
But you would find you'd find people who have been married for 40 years. Why do they divorce? They've been together in the same space, all around each other. Why do they divorce? So you can't use the argument that because we've been along for long, then automatically we are one. So even when you are together for all those years, you need to still work on the oneness. You've been to homes, or you meet old people, and clearly they don't agree on many things. You can see the fights. You can see the struggle, the pulling and the pushing. They are married for long. They have all children and everything, but they still have that. What you call Mbowa. Let's put the stool here. No,
Really
what
been
about this?
initiated
No.
into Uganda culture. As we come to a close of this, I want you to just give something individually to a couple that is intending to get married about how do they work at being one, even from the beginning. How do you work at being one?
Yeah, I think I would say that come into your marriage with an open heart. Come into your marriage with an open heart. Come in willing to embrace people. Come in willing to embrace differences, different views, different experiences, different things. Because if you come in when you're closed, you reduce your chances of ever being able to interact with people and win them to your side, and also win yourself to their side, and create an environment where you're friends. I believe that you need that openness, that open heart to embrace people. And I think if you do that, you have a better chance. You have a better chance.
And Job, what are your parting shots to that person about to get married and thinking this is for just the cool people?
Oh, okay. Marriage is a gift from God. Marriage has the things that define it, and one of the things is this oneness. Look forward to it as a married couple. Look forward. Start to do things together, start to spend time together. One of the biggest challenges that we are facing is the selfishness. You remember that as human beings, we are selfish beings. We want what's convenient and what's easy, what's I want. So you need to constantly forget the individual in you and start to think we. How you don't want to live in a house where the man is saying in nyumba yange
This is my house.
genda ondetera ebisuubizo by'emmotoka yange. That is
But the
doing for me
bedrooms are
my
always
phone.
for the woman. No?
Pardon?
The bedrooms are always for man.
But can we try and change our mindset and start to think we? Start to think us. Forget the I, forget the you. And let's start to think one together as one. It's possible. Let us trust God because it is His idea. Let's go back to Him and say, God, what did you really mean? And what do you expect me to do? Having understood the need for me to be one with my wife, He will give you from wherever you are, He'll guide you through it. And I believe strongly that He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can imagine for your marriage, and you'll become a testimony to the people around you.
Wow. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Job and Rebecca, for such an interesting conversation. And for our viewers, it's actually, the Bible is very clear that two will become one. So whatever we're doing outside, we're doing our own things basically. But God is saying that the two should become one. So if you're struggling, for those who are not yet married, purpose to become one with your husband. And as they've said, we're husband and wife. And as they've said, there's spiritual oneness, physical oneness, so like cultural oneness. Let us strive
Sexual
to.
oneness.
Oh yeah, and sexual oneness. I don't know what the opposite would be, but let us strive to be one in each and every aspect of our marriages, and life becomes beautiful. It doesn't matter what the world is dictating. Let us go back to the basics of the biblical principles, and that is the two will become one. Thank you very much for watching. This is Ring Diaries on Church of Uganda Family TV with me, Phiona Mbowa. Have a good night.